This isn't just the way things are, this is the way you made them. This is the result of your choices, your actions, yours. Andrew Clavin.
My name is Zuko, son of Ursa and Fire Lord Ozai, Prince of the Fire Nation and heir to the throne.
Liar! I heard of you! You're not a prince, you're an outcast! His own father burned and disowned him!
Prince Zuko, the banished Fire Nation prince, destined to find and retrieve the Avatar in order to restore his honor. One of the most intricate and complex characters in all of animation history. A character that is deeply scarred by his past and his origins, but also a character that learns that he doesn't need to be defined by that. His family and his nation are the way they are. They have wronged the world horrendously. But now it's up to Zuko to choose his own path for himself. He may be judged by what they've done, but he will not be defined by it. He is his own mind and he will choose for himself what actions he wants to take and what people he wants to allow to influence him. It is a heartfelt tale of personal responsibility and choosing one's own path. And no episode does a greater job of portraying it than Zuko Alone.
Zuko, please, my love, listen to me. Everything I've done to protect you. Remember this, Zuko. No matter how things may seem to change, never forget who you are.
Zuko Alone is one of the most intriguing Avatar episodes simply because of the fact that Zuko is the only main character to appear outside of flashbacks. But the reason for this creative writing choice is quite obvious. This episode is all about Zuko and Zuko Alone, about his backstory and his journey as a young man, about what makes him Zuko, and about this little village that he encounters along the way. We start the episode alongside Zuko, who is desperately looking for food. He finds a couple cooking dinner and considers robbing them, but once he realizes that the woman is pregnant, he chooses not to. His father might have taught him that life is simply about survival of the fittest, but Zuko learned from his uncle Iroh that there is more to life than just surviving. And so, Zuko walks on. He continues his journey along a war-torn valley. War-torn by a war that started with his grandfather Sozin and was continued by every head of the family ever since. A reminder of where he came from and of where he's headed. Zuko then finally arrives at a small, isolated village of a few dozen inhabitants. A small Earth Kingdom family takes a liking to him after he saved their youngest son from the soldiers, and so they take him in. They offer him food and talk about the corrupt soldiers that the Earth Kingdom deployed in the village. Soldiers that are supposed to be protecting the people, but do nothing more than take advantage of them.
Those men should be ashamed to wear Earth Kingdom uniforms.
The real soldiers are off fighting the war, like Lee's big brother, Sensu. Supper's going to be ready soon. Would you like to stay?
Those soldiers may be Earth Kingdom natives, but they are no different from the Fire Nation soldiers that keep the war going. This peculiar contradiction throws Zuko back into his past, into moments of hardship and desperation that he will always carry with him. Moments of struggle that for a long time defined who he was. A desperate, hopeless and self-obsessed fugitive. A boy that had lost his path due to his background. A boy that used to want nothing more than to feed the ducks swimming in the pond. But life got in the way. Life started to shape him into a criminal, into a warmonger, and into a hopeless soul. But deep down, he will never forget who he truly is. A banished prince, but a prince nonetheless. It is now for him to choose who to become. It is for him to choose to leave behind the son of Ozai and the brother of Azula. And it is for him to choose the son of Ursa and the nephew of Iroh. It is for him and him alone to decide who Zuko is going to become. He can't rely on anybody else to do so. Many may judge him for what his family did in the past, and others will expect of him to keep up the nation's will. Zuko won't have an easy time finding the right balance. But what he realizes in this episode is that he alone has to be the one to find it. He can't rely on anyone else, and he can't blame anyone else either. What happened in the past happened. Whether or not Zuko will allow that to influence him in the future, now that is up to him.
It's not nice to bother people about things they might not want to talk about. A man's past is his business.
The episode ends with Zuko fighting off the soldiers to save the villagers. But to do so, he had to stop hiding from himself and accept who he is. He had to firebend and expose his true nature. The people of the village turn furious because they are blinded by the war, and so they cast him out without hesitation. And Zuko was afraid of exactly that, but regret is nowhere to be seen right now. Though he might have left a sour taste in their mouths, Zuko did what he thought right and saved them. He can't hide from his past any longer. He needs to accept the baggage that he carries along with him, but he knows that that is a choice he is willing to make. Zuko learns a very important lesson in this episode. Going back to the start of the episode, Zuko could have stolen the couple's food, and if he had stuck with what he was taught in the Fire Nation, he probably would have as well. But his uncle Iroh showed him that there is another way of living one's life, a more compassionate and moral way. And so Zuko chooses the compassionate way of life, even though he is a Fire Nation native and therefore he must be an evil degenerate. At least that's what we are taught. And what about the Earth Kingdom residents? Well, they were a peaceful people with no ill intent in their bones. All but the soldiers from this episode, right? Well, obviously not really. Zuko learns this same lesson during his trip. You are not defined by your country, race, or religion. You're defined by how you choose to act and who you allow to have an influence on you. Yes, some people may judge you on your background, but you should never give in to that. You should sit down with them and talk to them. Tell them that you understand their position, but that you are not the sum of your characteristics, but rather the sum of your own actions. And that's obviously something most people don't want to hear. No one ever wants to take the blame for anything, but you should. Or you should at least take on the responsibility for it. All the problems in your life arose because of you, and so they can only be solved by you. With this mindset, nothing will ever stand in your way, just like nothing was ever able to stop Zuko. Yes, it took him a while to get there, but just like everything else in life, it takes time to be successful. So whenever you get into any type of discussion, be it in person or on Twitter, don't ever focus on a person's characteristics, but on their words and their actions. We are all individually different. We are all individually responsible, and we are all on our own individual journey. So next time someone like Zuko arrives at your doorstep, don't cast them out because of their backstory or their past. Rather, sit down with them and talk. You might just learn a thing or two, because people change. And if you're anything like Zuko yourself, then don't let yourself be defined by your characteristics, but define yourself by your actions and your meaning in life. Define yourself by your actions, and you will find your true passions. Thanks for watching, guys. Feel free to subscribe and check out one of my previous videos right here. This channel is all about looking at video games and pop culture from a different perspective, about digging deeper into the meaning of life and how we can get there with video games, movies, and TV shows. And if you'd like to chat or just play some games together, make sure to join our Discord server in the description. So if that interests you, maybe subscribe, maybe hit the bell to be notified. What about that, huh? Yeah? Okay, good. See ya!